Mr. Perry. So we've got Mick Hudson coming out now with Echo Park Mel. Mel is coming out with a score of 176. So yeah, Mel's going to run a good run for us.
Stop. Behind. Stop. Stop. Behind. Stop. Behind. Stop.
That's our timer.
Yeah.
Now we're underway. So this dog is called Echo Park Mel, and he's the only dog in this final to have sent the dog out to the left instead of the right.
Yeah.
And is that a usual preference? Would this dog always be used to going out to the left?
Possibly. So dogs are a bit left or right-handed, just like people. They do generally have a preferred side. It also can depend on how the sheep are going on the day. So often all the sheep on one day will pull to one side of the arena, and you would want to send your dog to that side to give it the best chance of coming down straight. So Mick would have taken a calculated decision to send his dog to the left, whether it's because the dog's preference or his assessment of the sheep or his preference, we don't know, but it would have been a calculated decision. Mick is a consummate competitor, very strategic in how he works his dogs, so he certainly would have intentionally made that decision.
Now, Mel is a tri-coloured little dog, I think it's fair to say. Border collie, a lot of black, some white across the chest and so on, but the inside of the legs seems to have some pretty tan.
Yes, she's certainly a tricolour, what we would call a tricolour, which is they're very striking. Often the tricolours, they're beautiful with their bright tan.
She's got tan eyebrows too.
Yes, makes for some funny facial expressions. You'll even get collies sometimes get mistaken for kelpies when they don't have too much white in their tricolour, especially the short coat. So far this is a nice, pretty straight lift down here to Mick by Echo Park Mel. You can see they're taking a look at the dog there, sussing her out.
And where did you say that Mick's from?
So Mick comes from the Central West region. I believe he has a number of properties around the Dubbo, Cobar, Umungari area. And he runs, I know, a lot of shedding sheep. Dorpers, I believe, the breed that he runs, and also musters goats with his dogs. So they're used to travelling in pretty big country, pretty hot weather. Makes for some tough dogs. A little bit of trivia: Mick is part of a very well-known dog trialling family, and his children now are the 5th generation of dog trialers in the Hudson family.
Wow.
And in an event that I'm not sure has ever happened before in dog trialling, at this trial in the improver class, which is dogs who haven't quite made their way into the open yet, the improver final at this trial was completely filled by the Hudson family. So we had Pip Hudson, which is Mick's father, running a dog. Mick Hudson himself had 2 dogs, I believe, and then his son Harry Hudson filled out the final. So we had an all Hudson family final.
It's quite an achievement.
Certainly is. You certainly not something you see very often. Mel's doing a really nice job here of delivering these sheep to Mick. They're almost within that delivery area.
If I'm not mistaken, I think that Pip Hudson was telling me that his mother was a judge at the inaugural Nationals held on the Monaca Oval.
Yes, she was a very, very well-respected judge, and it was in a time when there wasn't too many female competitors or judges in the sheepdog trialling world, so it really speaks to her ability and knowledge. She was asked to judge at the Nationals, and I believe was held in great esteem by the sheepdog trialling world. If there's any such thing as sheepdog trialling royalty, then the Hudson family certainly is going to be up there.
It's tremendous to see generations getting involved in the sport. It's a sport that would seem to lend itself to generations getting involved as younger people come on and learn the tricks and have their dogs that they're involved in breeding, and then start to compete.
Certainly, it's a very family-friendly sport. Anybody of any age can compete. I mean, just look, we had Laurie Slater here running a dog. He's 88 and he rides a mobility scooter, and he ran his dog Wandara Jules, and he made the top 20, which was fantastic to see. So it really is a sport for all ages and all abilities. You often see at these trials the average age is a little older, but I think the main factor in that is that the trials often run during the week, so it's a little easier to attend for those who are retired or who own their own property and have a bit more flexibility. But there's certainly no barrier, age is no barrier to competing in this sport, not at all.
It's quite an achievement to be still competing in your sport of choice at 88.
Definitely. Although anybody who knows Laurie knows he's a tough old fella, and it'll
You think
he'll be fighting tooth and nail to be sheepdog trialling as long as he can.
you'll be charging up that scooter,
Yes,
bringing
definitely.
it out?
Definitely. I think a few of us wouldn't mind riding the scooter around instead of walking all the way around the course. It's a pretty tidy start here for Mick with Echo Park Mel. Those sheep are pretty squarely within that corridor. There wouldn't have been too many points lost yet. I did see them duck out of the corridor once, I think. He'll be really pushing for a big score out of this dog if he wants to challenge John Perry up the leaderboard. He'll be needing, I would say, at least mid to high 90s to challenge that top spot. If there's anyone that can do it though, it's Mick. He's very well practiced at running in finals. He's used to the pressure of a big final at a big trial.
And so up towards the first winding peg, and they're around it.
That was beautifully done. You can see sheep are nice and settled. They're having a graze as they go. I always tell folks a well executed 3 sheep run should be fairly boring to watch. And
Relaxing to watch.
relaxing, that's probably a more appropriate word. So far so good with this run. The sheep are just poking along there at Mick's right hip. Mel's just only doing what she has to behind them to keep them coming along.
And coming up to the second winding peg. I'd imagine
This
it's
is,
not easy to work out how quickly or slowly you should be walking as the handler, given that you need to continue walking between obstacles as you move around until you stop at the hoop. So that in itself would take a bit of work, just working out how quickly, how slowly.
Definitely. It depends on a few things. Probably how your dog works, how well you move. But the best advice I've had so far is to walk at sheep speed.
Yes.
They're the ones that are really going to be setting the pace. And if we walk faster than they can walk, then the dog will have to be bumping them all the time to keep up. And if we walk slower than they're walking, then the dog will have to keep heading them to keep them steady. And once that happens, often they don't want to move. So
Well, Mick stopped in the hoop, and we've got a little bit of coercion now by that little dog.
this is looking promising. They appear to
Mel's
be, yes, well done.
Got the sheep
That's the
through the race.
through on the first attempt. Very nice.
Oh, that's very good.
So there would have been no points lost there for Mick and Mel. And they're still pretty squarely within the corridor, so might be pretty tight between Mick and John for this top spot.
Well,
so
that would
far.
be exciting, wouldn't it?
I know last year at the National we had a runoff for first. We had an equal score between this gentleman, Mick Hudson, running a different dog, MGH Try, and Tony Elliott running Gundagai Frosty, and they ended up on equal score, so we had to have a runoff.
Well,
The 2 little dogs had an extra run to determine the winner, and it was still very close, but Frosty came out victorious, so we could end up in the same situation this year.
and that's not unusual, unheard of.
It's certainly not unheard of, but it is a little unusual. There's so many variables that can go right or wrong within a sheepdog trial. So to run the exact same score over 3 rounds is a little unusual, but it certainly does happen.
It's consistent.
Yes.
Coming up to the bridge.
It's got them set up pretty nicely.
I can't see whether they're moving onto the bridge.
Yep, this looks promising. You can
Yep.
see Mick's taking his time. He's working.
2, 3.
Yes,
And
well
off the
done.
bridge.
That was some really
And
nice
the leading
work
sheep
there.
gave a little jump. Couldn't wait to get off the bridge.
Feeling good.
I wonder whether a sheep can be a bit of a show-off.
Yes, definitely.
Bit of a performer.
Yes. Jumping for joy.
And moving across now between the bridge and the pen.
Alrighty. Mick's got those sheep positioned bang on. You can see they're nice and relaxed.
Do you refer to that as the base of the sector or triangle? Because that's really the shape, isn't it? That the handler and the dog and sheep sort of track out. I'm nobody's expert in geometry, but it's really the shape of a sector, isn't it? It's a quarter of a circle, really, isn't it, by the time they've moved up and around anti-clockwise?
Yes, depending on the positioning of the sheep. Ideally, when you're moving along, you're almost all in a line. With you covering your side, the sheep in the middle, and then the dog covering their side. But depending on where the sheep want to be, right now we've got more of a triangle happening. This is some really nice work here from Mick and Mel.
Sheep look relaxed.
We're in the perfect spot there.
Mel looks relaxed.
Yes, everybody looks quite relaxed, although I'm sure the reality might be different. It's sort of the moment of the most pressure in this run here for Mick. Thankfully, Mel doesn't know what's at stake. It's just another day at work for her.
Do you think they tend to know that they're in a competition, though?
I think they do,
It's different
yes.
to an everyday run,
Yeah, especially when there's atmosphere around like we have at this trial.
and only 3 sheep.
So, how are we looking for time? Mick's got about 3 minutes left on the clock, so that's plenty of time to take his time here at the pen. Oh, that sheep just thought about ducking around, but Mel got herself in the right spot to block that. Just giving them some time to think about it.
So that was a potential run around the back that was nicely arrested.
Yes, if Mel had have gone about a foot, not as far, that sheep would have ducked around the side of the pen, and that would have been a big points loss here for Mick, which he can't afford if he wants to challenge John for the national championship title. Oof. It's going to be pretty close, these scores. Those sheep, I think, are there we go. They're clear in that pen. So now all Mick's got to do is get that gate closed. Mickey's won this week. He's had a sheep jump out on him at the pen, so he'll be extra careful closing this gate.
It's not going to happen today.
And success.
Whoa.
Well, we wait eagerly for the score.
We've just done some quick maths here in the announcer's box. Mick needs 97 on this run
Wow.
to tie and 98 to win.
97 to tie, 98 to win.
We wait eagerly for the score
Let's
from the
see what
judge.
happens. So that was the last little dog that we've got to see today, unless we get a tie. So that was Mick with little Echo Park Mel. Mick has come from Umundjeri in New South Wales. 95. Mick,
Wow.
95.
Well done. That was a
Great
top-class run.